Hello and welcome to the Pod of Mayhem. I am Willie Atkins. Thank you for listening in to my very first episode featuring my good friend, musician, and filmmaker, Wolf McKinney. If you enjoy this debut episode of the Pod of Mayhem, I invite you to give us a follow on Anchor.fm, Spotify, and Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast at. We'll be coming to many places soon. I'll also soon be debuting the Pod of Mayhem live on BreakingFateRadio.com, so stay tuned for more information on that in the weeks to come. But before we get started here, I want to invite you to find us on Twitter at Pod of Mayhem. Also, stay in the loop on upcoming shows, guests, and information on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Pod of Mayhem. I'll be right back with my good friend Wolf McKinney right after a word from our sponsors. Are you enjoying the Pod of Mayhem and you want to start a podcast yourself? Well, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First and foremost, it's free. I mean, you can't beat free, right? In addition to that, there's also creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more platforms. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast, all in one place. So, if you'd like to check it out, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hello and welcome to the Pod of Mayhem. I'm Willie Atkins, and I'm joined here with my brother from another mother, Wolf McKinney. He's going to join me for this rundown trial podcast thingy here.
Or like a bon voyage as the ship is like leaving the dock and off to uncharted waters. Then you hit an iceberg and then the whole thing goes kablooey.
That's probably the way this will go. Mayhem is probably the perfect name for the podcast. It's cool to do this with you for the first time because I feel like I'm almost at home doing this.
Well, it's like some of the conversations we actually do have when we don't have a microphone in front of us and all that. So, and even like you were mentioning when I got here over an hour ago, you were like, we were talking and all that. And you mentioned that we should actually tape this and or record this, and this could be the show. And I'm thinking it's like, yeah, you're right. Well, we just missed an opportunity right there. Once again, we
do this a lot, though. I mean, we've always said we should have video running. Like anytime I'm with you driving through the city of Chicago, a video camera should be on at all times.
That should be the next movie project.
That should be another movie project. You're right.
Absolutely.
That we could probably be sitting in mansions with a lot better equipment doing this podcast. If that was the case, because of some ridiculous shit that we have seen throughout the city of Chicago.
Well, excuse the buzzing that is. I mean, we have, like, right here, a bunch of shoestring budgets, or no budgets whatsoever, and some equipment that we're using that is basically is a good start off. So we're basically at a tugboat stage. Yeah. We're not that quite. I mean, if it was a rowboat stage, we'd be like tin cans and a string.
Right. Yeah, we're kind of mediocre in here right now, but we'll get some improvements going.
So, I mean, I think I listen to Howard Stern a lot, and they do phony phone calls.
Yeah.
And they call a lot of internet shows.
Forgot to turn his phone off. There you go.
Yep, sorry about that. And they call a lot of internet shows and all that. And, basically it's just people like us just sitting here talking, and they handle different subjects and all that. And they will call in and bust balls all the time and all that. So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, we got to really get really good so those guys can call in and just bust our balls. Then makes us famous.
That would be excellent.
So
I mean,
we're not even at that stage yet. I'll call Richard Christie. I'm like, hey, call up and bust this guy's balls. Right. He'd be like, God, you're stupid.
That's got to help those podcasts or internet shows in general, though. You would think. You
would think, but some of them are like, they let them go on. I'll play a bunch of them for you next time you're in the car with me, because I'll sit there and listen to the phony phone call, phony phone-a-thon on Labor Day over and over again because they're just so funny. And they're the ingenious of it. There's this one show that they call a lot called Live with Kathy, and it's what was the show that Jason used to do with Anita? What was that?
Shriek Speak Radio.
Yeah, but what was the server?
I don't even know where.
A lot of friends of mine.
Blog Talk.
Blog Talk, yeah.
There you go.
They had a show on there and all that, and there's a show called Live with Kathy, and basically, from what I gather, the whole thing is, it's a server that you use your phone to do a radio show.
Yeah,
and that's all it is you on the phone. You're the host, and you're playing the music, or you're doing the interviews and all that, and. We've done a few interviews like that when I was in Bloodstream Parade, and they called up this one Kathy, and they do this whole production of like this guy named Rocky Pendergast. He's like this 1920s, like, Playboy type of thing. Hello, Kathy. Hello. And they go, all this thing is like, they're like, where you? She's like, well, where you at? Oh, we're over here in the middle of the Alps or something. And all of a sudden, an avalanche comes over, and everybody's running for their lives and all that. You should simply come to Largo, darling. And everyone's dying left and right and all that. And then he gets killed at the end. And she's like, Rocky, where'd you go? And they keep doing this to her over and over and over again. Now I want to listen to her show and just see if they bust her balls or female pussy. I don't know. The whole time that she's on, because she is so gullible. She's so gullible, she'll play this whole role. I mean, the last one they did was like a 7-minute phone call where they were on the Kanible Island over in Papua New Guinea. Howard Stern was trying to promote his new book, and everybody was there. And the natives attacked and started eating all the guests. And the guy who played Fonzie, Henry Winkler,
right?
He's like, "Hey, get in a speedboat." He starts water skiing behind Rocky's boat and all that. I'm going to jump the shark. And they had Pauly Shore there too, and he's like, "Help! Help! The natives are was it scarfing my spleen, bro? And she's just like, well, you got to call your police or something.
Well, for those who don't know who you are,
You are just totally glazed over my conversation right there.
I am glazed over in general anyway. I've been in this office a long time today trying to
I can tell
set
you've
up.
gotten wider.
Yeah, as if I need to get any wider at all right now.
You chubby fat fuck.
Well, the show we just opened with the song Blood for Blood, sung by Bloodstream Parade, which is perfect for this occasion since you are...
A member.
Yeah, a member.
Reunited member.
Yeah, it was a great show. I just went to a Bloodstream Parade show last weekend. First one in 7 years, right?
Yeah. Actually, there was people in this show this time.
Amazing.
The first one I went to, there was like sparse people there, and nobody liked us.
Well, that's...
It was a big stage, but it was like everybody was there to see the other band.
Well, not this time. I mean, there was a great crowd there. It's like you guys didn't miss a beat. It was pretty awesome. Why the long break? A lot of people will probably wonder, where's Bloodstream Parade been for over half a decade?
Oh, we must go back a little bit into the past. And just a quick synopsis is band started back in 2004, and we had a large number of individuals have come in and out of the band for a long time. And after a while, you start doing a ton of shows, and somehow or some way you feel like you're kind of burnt out. And I get that's probably how things fell apart back in 2012. So, but we wanted to come back and play in 2013, and we made a pretty decent attempt at like writing new songs or something like that.
Yeah.
Tried other people in the band that didn't work out, and all that. And I won't name names because some of them are people I just don't like. But I tried it and all that, and it just fell apart. And then people, the former bandmates like Tony, he had other stuff going on in his life. He's a very successful karate instructor now. I mean, it's a few, 6 years.
I got to say,
grandmaster.
Knowing Tony myself, that's the first time I'd seen him in 7 years. And oh my gosh, it's barely unrecognizable. He's a very different lad now than he was back then.
And so, he's just like, he's like, I got this thing going on. I got that thing going on. And, I don't want to, first off, I didn't want to bring the band back together without Tony, because I think Tony is a strong part of this band and all that. And I wasn't really into using other singers, but if we had to, I would have. But I'm glad he agreed to do this show at least.
Right.
And everybody's when we got there on Saturday and started playing and all that, and afterwards the good feelings between, well, at the time us four, because we were usually a 5-piece, but us four were pretty good. Yeah. And I hope down the line that we do more shows, and there's talk of us doing more shows. I even brought up the idea at the end of the last practice. I'm like, well, I don't want all of us just write some new music and maybe put out another CD, just to stretch out the legs or whatnot. Because there was a time where I wrote like over 150 songs, like 2 years after the fact. I just kept writing and recording these songs, and all. So I have a ton of ideas on my end.
Right.
That we could use, but just something to get us going. I mean, I'm 49 years old. I think that a 49-year-old with long hair is really nothing to do other than play bass and all that. I'd be happy with that. I always envision myself, if life goes to shit, going to Vegas and playing on a street corner with my guitar. That's all I really think I'm going to wind up doing after everything is said and done here. So,
well, you talk about Vegas. I know you're Chicago home and raised, but recently you got out of Chicago, and I know you've talked before about Vegas. Is that still something you're considering doing here?
Absolutely.
Gonna make your way out there as a permanent move?
Absolutely. When I move to Vegas, that's it. They're gonna plant me in the desert when I drop dead. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna. I'm probably gonna miss my hometown like I do all the time, but recently this year, when October rolls around and it starts to snow on Halloween like it did this past Halloween, it's just like, okay, my old ass don't care about the snow. I'm out of here. I mean, I bring up the idea about moving, and everyone says the exact same fucking thing, which I really hate. conversation starters is weather.
Right.
The weather component, which starts an innate conversation with a moron. It's just like, oh man, it's cold out here today. I'm like, yeah, no shit. We're in a car. We already know, you know. We had to go outside to go feel this. So yeah, no shit. But
with the world being so PC these days, it's like the one thing you can think of that's a safe go-to, it seems.
Well, I mentioned one time, I actually do this a lot now when I meet people and all that. They go, oh man, it's so cold out. Well, that's weather. What are you going to do? I just try to cut the fucking conversation off right there, you know. And people who's going to listen to this and go, well, yeah, he was a real dick to me that one time then. Fuck him. I'm like, exactly. I just don't want to, because it's a stupid conversation. It's like politics and religion and weather. I don't want to talk about that.
So many people are probably going to listen to this and be like, he did that to me once.
Yeah,
that dick.
yeah.
And they didn't realize they should be offended till just now.
Well, it's like people my age or younger. Well, most younger kids, I've gotten to that point where I was at their age where when an old person like me would talk, I would just not talk to them. And I'm getting a dose of that right now. But, you know, like old people right now, that's all they talk about is weather. Or exception of this old lady at the hospital last week. He was watching they had the TV in the waiting room and they had the impeachment hearings going on. And I'm sitting there watching it, waiting for Julie to get out of surgery. And the old lady comes up. She's like maybe about 40 years older than I am. Whose side are you on? I'm like, go fuck yourself. How's that?
Well,
I'm not beyond telling an old lady to go fuck herself.
Oh, I know you're not. I know you well enough to know that nobody is out of reach when it comes to a good old fuck you. Getting back to that show, it was a benefit show. You want to talk about that?
The benefit show was a
memorial show.
Memorial show, yeah. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, this guy Dennis Spears, everybody called him Paws, and his wife were on. It was an unfortunate accident that they were both killed, and he was pretty well known in the music metal community in Chicago. And he was a nice guy. I knew him I didn't really know him personally, but every time I see him, he'd come to the shows and all that. He was a pretty pleasant guy and all that. And his wife, I got to know one show. Actually, I found out she was on a Springer episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I remember talking to her because I never talked to her before. I never met her before. And then we hit it off pretty well. And so when this unfortunate accident happened, there was talk about doing a reunion show with Bloodstream Parade and another two bands actually, and just do it like a tribute show and all that. And we're thinking about like the first year after the accident. Service, please.
Ding. That means water's on the way.
Oh, are we going to have like your female servants come down?
One of them. Yeah.
But that fell through. And unfortunately, there was another incident shortly after, before or after, where a friend of ours was brutally killed or murdered in Des Plaines, and we were going to do a reunion / memorial show for him because he was a fan of the band as well. And that fell through, and we were supposed to have done that this year. So as time went on and all that, we were like, okay, well, are we going to do something like this? And this is what brought us together at Penny Road, because we played Penny Road quite a bit, and we used to always do good there. And it's like, well, that makes a lot of sense. Well, got to play down in the basement again, which was my favorite stage other than upstairs. So yeah, it went off pretty well. We played with Magatwat, and make fun of the name if you will, but they are a good band. They're an interesting band. They have I
love their drummer.
Their drummer is Dick Puppets is fantastic. I mean, I know Dick Puppets quite personally, and I think he was in his element that night.
He was.
So yeah, Dick Puppets, thank you very much. I hope you're listening, and don't break your arm patting yourself on the back. But they have some great music. I mean, they're like all along the lines of Macabre and all that, and you know, they have their own thing, which I definitely respect. So we did, we did the show and all that. And like I said, I mean, I knew the guy, and everybody that was there knew him personally and all that, and they loved the guy quite a bit. I mean, we got a good turnout, and they were there. It's either for the bands or both, and they thought it was a great idea that we do a memorial show, and that's why we got together. I think it was a lot of fun. I had a great time. I got severely ripped afterwards. People were buying me shots most of the night. I did about 4 shots before I went on, and then I think I did another 4 or 5 shots afterwards. You were sitting with me the whole time.
Yep, for a little while.
And then I got a few shots down my gullet before you know it. I'm like one eye in it and all that, trying to just get up the stairs without falling, breaking my face.
Well, I'm going to get into some of your film work as well here, but
I do film?
you used to anyway. We'll see what happens with the future, but
I do film?
right now
Am
we're
I
gonna,
that intelligent?
no, absolutely not. I didn't say that.
I thought that was, I had to see a doctor to remove that piece of brain that actually does something functional for me.
So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is the Pod of Mayhem. I'm Willie Atkins here with Wolf McKinney. That was another Bloodstream Parade song. What was that one anyway? I forget.
I Am the Night.
Thank you.
Color Me Black.
I love it. So
it was actually a song inspired by a Twilight Zone episode.
No shit, really?
Yeah. I used to watch a lot of Twilight Zone as a kid, and this stuck with me when we were writing the music for this song. And we were thinking of lyrics, and I remember seeing this episode. I think it was like 10 years old, 10 or 12 years old or something. And it was, the name of it was I Am the Night, Color Me Black. And I just used it. I just used the title, wrote most of the lyrics to it and most of the music, and it came out the way it did.
Yeah, it's an excellent song. One of my favorites on that album too. So you're talking about 10 or 12 and these inspirations. What got you started with music to begin with?
I always loved music.
When did that start for you exactly?
Shit. Let me think. Well, my mom always played music in the house when I was a kid, and I always liked, I don't know, I just always loved the heavy groove stuff. And I wasn't initially into metal at the beginning of my life and all that, obviously. But I liked rock music and all that, and it was always playing and all that. But I always liked the groove stuff. So, like, some of the country stuff that she would play,
yeah.
They would always have that nice groove to it, that rockabilly groove to it, which always turned me on. And it's the low, mournful noises of like an E or something like that. And I would hear that, and it would get me going. And later on, but the other thing that later on in my life, as I got older, I was like into piano. There was just something soulful about a piano. So it's between the melodic and the fucking heavy groove and all that, and just meeting it. Now that's when I first started listening to metal. That was the world right there, because that melded everything that turned me on about music, and I'd never looked back since. It was like 1981. I heard the first recording of Ozzy Osbourne, and the first song on that album was "I Don't Know" off of Blizzard of Oz.
Yeah,
and that just immediately bullet to my head. I didn't particularly want to play in bands or anything like that, but I wanted to play guitar. Randy Rhoads was a fantastic guitarist, and sadly, a year or two later after the album was released, he died. But 1984 rolls around, and Shout at the Devil came out in 83, Motley Crue, and I was just like, that's it, I want to be in a fucking band, dude. I didn't know much about guitar. Some will argue these days I don't know any guitar about right now, but it's fine. But, I just, damn table. When I heard Shout at the Devil, and this is before I got introduced to thrash metal and all that. And it was like 2 years later or something like that. But nothing was heavier to me than Shout at the Devil. It was raw. It was really it wasn't super polished at all. And if you read the book or if you've seen the movie, they were all cranked up, what they call Krell, which is basically cocaine or heroin or whatever. I think it's probably heroin. And they were fucking chicks probably while they were doing the damn recording, as ridiculously inspiring as that band was. But it's just those little things that you remember and all that. And I just remember playing that tape over. I actually bought the tape by accident. Well, not by accident, but I bought it for myself after I bought one for a girlfriend of mine at the time. It was her birthday. She said she liked Motley Crue. I'm like, I didn't know anything about these guys. So I got it, and I looked at the cover. I'm like, well, this is badass. And then I bought one for myself, and I listened to it. I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to keep this a while. So after that, I was in the Crew for the longest time until Theater of Pain came out. I was like, oh, fuck this. It's too glammed out. Bye. It was just like, it wasn't the same Crew that I liked in the first two records, because when I got Shout at the Devil, I wanted to hear their first record, which was Too Fast for Love, which is just as raw. It was actually their demo that the record company released. They just polished it up a little bit, and then they released it, which the first two records of Motley Crue are fantastic. And then you got Theater of Pain and Smoking in a Boys' Room and Home Sweet Home and all that. Even Vince Neil said that album sucked. He said, you got two good songs on the album, the rest of it you can just throw away. So
Motley Crue had this apparent, nobody's ever seen this, written agreement, this contract saying that they would never ever tour again, and that was...
Well, let me correct a misconception that people have been like, since the news came out that they were going to do a reunion show.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much tour together. No one member can tour as Motley Crue
without the others. I see.
And they couldn't perform any of the songs as Motley Crue without the others.
And Nikki Sixx said it would never happen ever to begin with.
With the last show back in 2015, Nikki Sixx mentioned that how everybody went their separate ways, pissed off at one another and all that. And I saw the concert. I wasn't at the concert, but I saw the movie. And the way it ended up and all that, I was in tears too. I mean, it was just like, it was a beautiful moment and all that. It's like, really? They were really mad at each other at the time? Which, once you sober up after doing so much drugs and all that,
right?
Because that shit kind of broke away as soon as Nikki almost died, or did die, and came back to life and all that shit. And and all the bullshit that came down with Vince. It's just like, yeah, as soon as you sober up and you got those few friends that are a bunch of losers, you look at them as, it's like, I can go on and do better things with my life and all that. And I could see that being a problem. So,
well, I sure do hope it happens, man. I really hope it happens.
Well, when that announcement came out that they were going to go on tour with Def Leppard and all that, I mean, Def Leppard was definitely, I mean, Pyromania was another album that was a big influence on me. And
Poison.
Poison, no. I hate Poison.
Oh, really? Don't like Poison?
Fucking Poison. I wouldn't cry one bit if I bought the tickets and went to the show and I missed Poison.
Oh, I got to see that.
C.C. DeVille.
I did enjoy Poison.
Little peckerhead. And I you have to ask Sean this. Our drummer in BSP. He had a feud going on with Ricky Rocket.
No, I
guess Ricky Rocket and Sean were on the same drum endorsement, and I guess Sean mentioned something on Facebook. Sean talks a lot about other things too, and he pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah,
and he don't care. But I guess word got around to Ricky Rocket and said some things about Sean, and they had a back and forth ado for like for a short time and all that, and nothing came about of it. But it's just like, really, Ricky Rocket is that thin-skinned that some really like nobody drummer in a nobody band or something like that would have gotten that upset about that. Really? Okay. Well, you look great as a girl, pal.
Well, let's speed ahead here. Eventually you got involved in film, and I know how that happened, but a lot of other people probably don't. Why don't you take a swig of water and let everybody know how that came about for you?
Should I talk about the very first time I was in a movie, or
sure,
or directing, or what are we talking about?
Yeah, that's your very first film experience, and then what kind of gave you the fever and really got you involved.
It's more like the plague, really. The fever.
Oh, I can certainly relate to that.
It's just when you're a creative person and all that, you need, especially when your band is basically on hiatus or whatever, you need some kind of an outlet. And I'm basically was a guy in the middle of an ocean grasping for like logs and shit to float on just to do something. And, well, I just got started. Just record label that signed us. Delves into movies and all that. They big time into movies, actually. And we're filming this one feature film back in, 2009, I think it was. And so they're like, okay, well, this would be a novel idea. Let's get as many members of every band we have on our label to come out and be involved in some scenes of the movie. And I was involved in 2 scenes, one in a cemetery and one in a strip club. Excuse me. So yeah, and then after that, I just remembered I got to tell one of my friends to shut the fuck up. And, that was actually, it was not written like that. It was not written in the script like that. I went to the director and he wrote the script. And I realize now that writers, I'm that way too with music, don't like their stuff changed up without really thinking it over and all that. But this guy was pretty cool about it. And he goes, well, what do you have in mind? Because the original line was, she was supposed to be bitching me out how everyone's dressed up nice in the cemetery.
This is
Jezebeth, yeah.
Okay.
And she's supposed to bitch me out. She's like, well, look at the way you're dressed. Everyone's dressed up for this. What is your pretty goddamn problem? I turn around. And in the script, I believe it's like, just chill. I have never once in my life ever said, just chill.
If you did, I'd probably laugh at you.
I mean, that, for one thing, that just chill has no balls to it whatsoever. I mean, some people say it, but all it does is make you look like a douchebag. I mean, you might as well just look like, it just turn into like, Bill and Ted. Because a pasty white guy like such as myself, it wouldn't be just chill if you're from the West Side or something like that. It'd be like, just chill. Some pothead drugged out motherfucker and, fucking West Coast or something like that. So I went up to him and I go, hey, you know what? I got an idea for this line. I mean, I can't say this line. People look at me and I say that. They're not like, don't that any wolf, And I'm not trying to be, because there's enough egomaniacs in that whole line in that scene to last till fucking Rapture and all that. And I don't want to come across as that. One of them, One of them that was there literally had his own independent film crew following him all over the place. He was such a fucking puppet. I called him a puppet on several occasions on the air when I worked at Fearless Radio. And, he was about 4 foot nothing. Well, you hang out with all these rock stars. I'm like, big fucking deal. Who cares? The guy's a fucking egomaniac. So there was, like I said, there was enough ego there to fucking serve up 10 times over, So I went up to him, I was like, dude, look, I want to just say, I can't say this line. Could I just change it up a little bit? I asked him without, I asked him, I was very polite. He goes, what do you have in mind? Well, the usual shit I tell people, just shut the fuck up. He goes, I love it. Do it. And it's like, okay, cool. And then after that point, I got a little bit more ballsier because I have some sway with this guy and all that, And he kept, and I felt bad for saying this to him. But at the time, it was my first reflexive thing to say to a guy or to somebody who was saying what he was saying to me. He kept going on how great I looked and all that. And I'm like, what, do you want to suck my dick, dude? Shut him up. And I really felt bad for him because he was under a lot of pressure because I'm not going to say anything derogatory about anybody, but he was a lot of pressure getting this movie done and dealing with a lot of people who were like we were talking about a little bit ago about music videos, people, outsiders coming in with their suggestions and because they had some sort of sway over him and all that and figured they could bully him and all that. And that's kind of hard being just a straight up creative person.
Yeah.
We got to deal with business types who have no idea how to fucking do anything. So I shouldn't have been that way. I shouldn't have said to him. So if he ever listens to this, I'm sorry, man. I would love to do more movies with you because I always thought he was an oddball, but we are all oddballs.
You have to be.
So it's all good. So I did the scene, and I told my friend, told her to shut the fuck up, and it worked because I remember we saw it in the theater, and we actually did premiered over the Portage.
Oh yeah,
and it got a lot of applause because everybody knew DeVita. You know DeVita,
yeah,
you remember DeVita. And everybody wanted to say is tell her to shut the fuck up. And I got an applause for that line. And then
and now they can watch and see that happen over and over.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny. You just go to Amazon Prime and dial it up and look at that movie and see and the other one was the other scene that we did for the movie was at the strip club. It was nothing spectacular, but once again, it was like just about every member involved in the band that's on that label was in the scene. So, it's funny because Tony, who was our singer in Bloodstream Parade, he's in it, and he's got this really fine-looking stripper on him, just riding him like a fucking horse. Just like lap dancing all over the place. So it was funny to watch it. He's like, and I kind of look at his face like. And we got along well with the strippers, though. It was funny. It was just like, I told him too. I was like, I really feel for you. You work in those fucking shoes, those spiky heels. It's got to break your ankles sooner or later. Oh, we figured it out. So that went on to working with you in Headline News.
Headline News. We had all of Bloodstream Parade in that. That was excellent.
Like 2010, 2011?
2010, yeah.
Yeah, we had a small scene. And we all came over on a Sunday, I think it was, and it's just typical fucking white trash douchebags on the side of the road. It's basically in the beginning of the movie and all that. You see my fat ass doing what I can to get out in front of the camera, going like that, and the other guys in the band doing their shit. And matter of fact, Chris was there. The guy, he's not in the band, but he was Tony's friend, and he was in the scene too. He was sitting there. Was back towards the camera taking a pee. He was at the show the other night, and so that was our contribution, and used one of our songs in the beginning credits.
And during that scene, I believe. I think we used two of them.
You just used "Fight for Your Right."
Was it?
Yeah, the Beastie Boys cover.
Okay, we'll probably close with that today.
Absolutely, and it's funny too because. Who was the guy that was in the scene?
Michael Sugarman.
Yeah. He was a very cool dude.
I think he moved to Europe.
Really?
Yeah.
He's doing well, man.
That was one of my favorite days in filmmaking, though, was you on the side of the road with this He's a real straight-laced type guy or whatever, and Wolf McKinney walks up and grabs his hair and pops a toupee off his head. And we do have a photo of this, and he was a great sport, man. He was amazing.
He was awesome. I mean,
He's a damn good actor.
He had this big dude coming up to you and all that. It's like, dude, can I take your toupee off? Yeah, sure. And that's
so much fun. Oh, I should have worked that into the film somehow because it would have been priceless, I'm sure.
You know what? I've worked with this company for quite some time, Breaking Fate Entertainment, right?
Yep.
And we've done a lot of movies and all that and a lot of stuff. And it always occurs that the outtakes are longer than the actual films themselves.
Yes.
Every
time.
Well, this is going to lead into what I did for you for a couple of films. I directed a movie, first time back in 2013. And I had a behind-the-scenes guy just filming whatever happens and all that. And the behind-the-scenes stuff is longer than the actual movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's on YouTube. You can see him and all that. And doing my directorial debut.
Headline News was the same way. That was a short film, 22 minutes maybe.
Yeah, it's not even like past 30 minutes.
And we had a behind-the-scenes featurette
hour
that
and a
was
half.
an hour and like 10 minutes or so long. Unbelievable. But
Where can people get that?
That is not readily available. It was released with a DVD release way back in 2000.
I still have it, by the way.
2012, but you might see it on Amazon Prime pretty soon.
Yep.
You can find Headline News, I think, on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
But what made you decide to take the leap into directing as opposed to just acting?
You know me, I'm a very compulsive son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch, definitely.
compulsory, just being compulsive about doing anything. Like I said, the band broke up at about that shortly before I did the directing and all that. And I was just like, I needed to do something. And you were telling me on the phone that, because I think Dragon was going to originally direct it.
Actually, we're talking about Gordon Finn.
Yeah.
That was going to be John Borowski directing originally. It's a screenplay that I had for years by Kevin Bowie. And then I was looking for a director because I'd always intended to play that lead role of Gordon Finn, and I did not want to have to direct and act in that, especially at the same time. But yeah, Borowski was originally going to do that, and then I don't even know what came about. That
I remember you had Dragon actually was going to attempt to direct it, and he couldn't do it.
I don't even know. I know he's involved in everything, Dragon Alexander.
But, you brought it up on the phone. I brought up the whole thing, what was going on. It's like, well, I'll direct it. And before you know it, you're like, sure, go ahead, grab it. And you sent me the script and all that. And not once did I, ever sit back and go, what the fuck did I get myself involved in? But it was just like, all right, it's something new to do, and I'm fuck it. And I think, what was it, December of 2012. And then 2013 is when we started production for it, that winter.
Yeah.
And then we had it edited and all that. And 2014 it came out.
That's right. How'd that go for you?
What, the editing or just directing?
Directing for the first time.
It's stressful, but there's like a lot of lessons you learn in life and all that. And I just really wish things didn't. I mean, I blew up on the set one day and all that. I'm not going to lie to you. And it's just, it's a long day. It was a compacted 2 days because we started filming that Saturday.
Yeah, they were challenging days to get through.
And then the next day we had to go off and do some multiple locations and wound up 9, 10 o'clock at night, somebody's house trying to finish the film. And everybody, I mean, there were like literally 12, 13 people piled in one little tiny bedroom and all that. And it's hot, and I'm getting irritated because, several other things and all that. And then I got flipped out. So, but as they go along and all that, it got done. I thought it was the editing we did to it and all was fantastic. I thought everything came together quite well. And it was a fantastic film and all that. Some people like it, some people don't. I don't give a shit. But, I think out of the shoot or something like that, I was just like, okay, yeah, I could do this. And I directed a couple other films along the line and all that, but it wasn't as golden as Gordon Finn was.
Yeah, that one. I think that's won more awards, Gordon Finn, than any other film we've produced.
And it went downhill from there.
Yeah, it all went to shit after that. And poor Colin. You'll see Colin. He'll be at the event I'm doing next week.
Mr. Willie's Dark Fart and Oddities Con?
Actually, that's this weekend. Dark Arts and Oddities Con is here.
What's the other event?
Just a holiday get-together thing.
Oh, he's coming to the house.
Yep, he'll be front and center in this building. We'll have lots of fun.
Why did you tell me that? Now I'm going to think of some things to do to the guy. You got any crawl spaces up there?
Oh, you got to talk about that story. And and breaking in new people on set or PAs and in general.
I also want to talk about another movie that has not been released, but I'll get to that in a little bit.
Sure.
But we have, it's not cool these days to haze people for anything these days.
Right.
And I'm not a vicious guy when it comes to hazing people and all that. I'm irritating because I will just hammer you until you're you cry in tears or you stomp out in anger. But this kid Colin, I didn't know anything about him. He just contacted me on Facebook and says, "Well, I would love to be your PA." I'm like, "Sure, I don't give a fuck." Sweet kid, a bit affable in a sense. He's a good guy though. But it's just, it's a natural reflex just to go up to somebody like that and go, "Hey, you know what? Why don't you go look for a fictitious guy?" I'm going to just go up and look for a guy who's fictitious in my head. "Hey, go look for this guy named Larry." And it's about that time when I started watching Impractical Jokers. So I was just like, "Hey, Colin, come here. There's a guy walking around at this point. His name is Larry. I need you to go find him for me." And he's like walking all over the place looking for this guy named Larry and all that. And the last night we were filming at that house, which is Mikkel's mom's house. Thank you, by the way. She got in on the joke.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Dude, where's this Larry? Where's Larry at? You got to go find Larry." "Oh, that's right. He's down in the crawl space of the house. You got to go check him out." We literally had him, his feet dangling into the crawl space into this house. And he's like, "Okay." I mean, he was a good guy. Actually, he filmed a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff that I put on YouTube.
Yeah, Colin's great. He's a pretty good writer as well. I got some series that he's written that he's sent my way, and he has a pretty active YouTube channel that basically looks at a lot of nostalgia from theme parks and
right. Well, we have a lot of PAs that we have used in the past. I don't think we did anything with Dustin. We just called him Colin Jr.
We just kind of mess with him, and it's like ongoing. There's no real hazing or initiation. It's just Dustin's Dustin, and you can make him look for weird shit all the time.
Well, there's a lot of characters involved in our movies. It's like one movie in particular that actually, that's why I remember Dustin so goddamn much. There was a film I actually played a lead character in this movie called Spilt Blood. Now, I'm like a werewolf. Duh. And so, this is actually the first time he worked on a movie with us, I think it was.
I think so, too.
And he was the clicker guy. Or the slate.
Yep.
And he kept messing up the title of the movie. He kept calling it Split Blood.
Or Spit Blood.
Spit Blood, Split Pea, whatever. And which it got irritating because it was like 23 degrees below zero in that place that we were filming this movie, and I was cold, I was tired, I was in makeup, I was literally in a werewolf makeup and all that, and I was throwing up all over the place because the hair that they glued on my face was getting down my throat. So I was hungry too because I puked up all the remains of whatever I ate. But that movie has not been edited yet. We had a little difficulties trying to get the pieces together. We finally got them together, and I think you're supposed to put the thing together this year or next year.
The plan is to premiere in March on the 28th.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. I just remembered how some of the scenes went, and I started to imagine how actually cool it's going to look. And then there were a lot of disappointments along the way that, and I'm not going to bring them up.
Filmmaking, yeah.
That things, just the way they happen, but I thought everyone pulled together. pretty well, and I can't wait to see what we got. And I don't remember half of the things that went down. I just remembered when we were done filming, I was on the floor, and a mouse ran across my face.
Yeah.
Remember that? I just jumped up like a motherfucking mouse just ran across my face. At that time, I was getting irritated. Like I said, it was freezing to death in there.
I got to say, everybody was, even to this day, I mean, we filmed that several years ago now, and with all the issues with the hard drives, everybody that's involved in that film has just been calm and collected, considering they're working at 20-something below zero for a few days, and this film was taking forever to get out. But man, the day I finally show it on a screen, I'm gonna
pop a cigar in your face.
Yep, that's gonna happen.
I'll join you. Make mine Swisher Sweets. It's about the only cigar I can smoke these days is the one with the tips to it, because it looks like I'm very sophisticated with it. I think what is really cool about Swishers, not to deviate here and a little inane conversation about cigars. It's one of my favorite movies is Forrest Gump, and one of my favorite actors is Gary Sinise. And when he would like smoke that cigar with the fucking tips there, I'm like, oh, that is cool. I gotta start smoking that shit.
Well, I want to get into some of your upcoming projects, but first we got to take another quick break, and we'll be right back.
God, no. Hiya, folks. We are back.
Yeah.
What's the name of the show?
The Pod of Mayhem.
It's like the Pot of Buzz.
It took me forever to come up with a name, and I'm
Really?
like, wow, the Pod of Mayhem, or there's
That
no
sounds pretty good
Mayhem
name.
podcast out there. I was like, wow.
That's a pretty good name.
I thought so. I mean, I didn't want to go with something that was all...
How many nights did you stay up thinking about it?
Honestly, I've been trying to decide on a name for months now. I mean,
Wow.
several months.
You know where I got the name Wolf's Den from? Sitting on the toilet.
I can see how that happens.
It's just like, hey, what do you want to call the show? Wolf's Den.
Speaking of Wolf's Den, you think we'll hear it again?
If everything goes well here, sure.
Yeah.
I just like to play a lot of metal. I don't care, man. I love metal. I'll play anything that's metal. That'll be my show, and if everybody don't like it, suck my left nut.
That's where this one's different.
Yeah.
Suck the right nut, and then it's like multi-genre. I'm trying to keep it pretty loose. I'm more about the interviews for this particular show. I want to get as many creative people in here as possible of all kinds.
Just make sure that I'm here when North, because I know North Roberts is going to come in and do something with you here. He's just gotta. He's fantastic. I just want to be here and watch the magic.
Watch the match. Oh, you can probably join in and co-host it, man.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
That's what I was going to get into next in my short list of
North
topics.
Roberts.
Not North Roberts Radio. I mean, yeah,
I like
no.
talk North Roberts. It's my Irish brother.
For we were just talking about the Wolf's Den. When did that come about for you? And how did that come
2005.
about? Did you just land in the studio?
I was on MySpace at the time, and I was looking for outlets, I wasn't looking for like internet radio per se, but I was looking for radio stations for them to play our stuff, because we had like a 4-song EP at the time that we're just handing out the shows.
Yeah.
And I came across this one. It was like in Chicago called Fearless Radio, and I contacted them. I'm like, hey, we're a local band. We'd like to come on and be interviewed with your show and all that, and promote the band and all that. And we came down on a March, it was like about a week before my birthday, I think it was, and that night after we got done doing the show, doing the interview, I went to the guy who ran the station. I'm like, look, I really like what you got going here. Can I do my own show? Because I've always liked radio too. I thought about going into radio myself in college, and it just, like I said, I don't know what happened. I wound up doing something else. That's another story. But I never went to class for radio, so I just went up to him. I was like, it's like the impulsive thing, like with Gordon Finn. I'm like, I've never been directed a movie before, so I'm going to go do radio and all that. So July of 2005, I got premiered on Fearless Radio. It was called The Wolf's Den. It was, at the time, it was only on 2 days a week. It was like from 10 to midnight. And as things went along, and I got my bearings a little bit more and further and all that, I started doing 6 nights a week, from like 10 to 2 a.m. And then after that, I was producing other shows on the network. I picked up that really quick. I even produced your show there when you were on Fearless for a short time.
Yep.
That's how I met you.
That's part of how we got acquainted was through Illinois Ghost Hunters.
Yep.
You had me on as a guest. Then the
Halloween show we did in 07.
Yeah, I mean, I stayed a regular on your show after that all the time, either as myself or other people with different names and voices. But the network owner, Pat, that's his name. I was trying to think what the heck his name was.
Trying not to mention names.
Yeah, well, whatever. He had me come out to take over the station for a day with my charity production company and brought in a bunch of musicians who had done free shows and raised a lot of money for charities, which was a pretty long day, but it was quite an experience.
You got there, at 9 a.m., and you stayed there until like 2 a.m. when I got done.
Yeah, it was a long day like that. And we had a lot of people in different groups and bands come throughout the day, and then I remember being part of the Peace and Pipe Dream show, which really did not fit at all into what we were doing. But
that was more of a scripted show.
Yeah.
That was basically theater of the mind. That was probably the quintessential theater of the mind show.
Yeah.
There was, I tried going on there and doing be myself, and you can't do that. You got to have a character.
I used Tom Twait on that show a couple times.
I think I can see that working.
But Audio Paranormal, that was half scripted and half not, and kind of blur the lines quite a bit as to what is and what isn't, to make you wonder. I remember some of the commercials that George used to write were just ingenious things that we'd have Courtney read. Amazing stuff. Really miss doing it, so it's kind of nice to do this again.
I should bring that show back.
Audio Paranormal?
Absolutely.
I thought so.
You bring Courtney back too, man. She's in the area.
I've thought about that as well.
She's an awesome lady.
So where can anybody find you, or more info about you and whatever the hell you decide to do next? Because right now it's kind of a time at idle, right? You're not sure if the band's going to proceed. You're not sure if you're going to go with the radio. You're not sure if you're going to do another movie at the moment, or do we have more projects going, or what's up?
You know what? I've thought about what I want to do in the next year or so, and I don't want to do any more, like Gordon Finn-esque kind of movies or Guardianship or anything like that. I'm kind of burnt out on that in a sense, because I can't really. It's just not me. I mean, I should stick with what I'm really good at, which is being a smartass.
Right.
Being a smartass or being the most dark, morose motherfucker out there. So if I can't, do a bloody, gory horror film and just let everything hang out and all that and blow a fucking budget on fake blood and guts and pig vomit and whatever I can to do a movie, I won't do it. But if we can do something like a comedy, like an ultra anti-PC film, which I have in my head at the moment, which I need to sit down and write. Speaking of PCs, my fucking computer is shot, so I gotta write everything longhand on a couple of legal pads. But I have a concept for a movie called Assholes, and it's basically because I've worked as a cab driver, worked as a rideshare driver, and all that, and all the experiences, basically everything's intertwined with these stories and stuff that's happened to me personally and other drivers are all going to be through the movie and all that, but also there's going to be a story with it. It's just going to be just ultra funny. It's going to be balls out. I'm going to like ACLU, and not ACLU, but if you happen to slip in a word that people might find offensive or something like that, great, cool. Excellent. I don't care. I mean, I'm not out to piss anybody off. I'm out to make a funny movie. I want to laugh my ass off because there's too much fucking like stressful PC assholes out there, and I want something that's direct opposite, not the politics, just simple people out there going, fuck you, you fucking bitch, or if you slip and use the word twat, great. I mean, everybody's name in this movie are basically going to have like a nickname, because everybody is going to be, from what I want to write in a movie, is going to be basically everyone's kind of a family and they're close knit, but they're brutal on one another. So everyone's got a nickname. Like one character name is Hammercock, and the other, and the secretary, her nickname, and she hates it, Twatsy McGillicuddy. So I just, it's just, these are actual people. Most of these characters are going to be actual people that I've met in my life in this business that I'm going to put in a script and all that. And hopefully I'll have it written maybe by the spring, and then all the revisions that come along, hopefully start in the summer of next year. So
that'd be cool.
And then I'm a fan of Edgar Allan Poe, so I want to do as many shorts as I can, inspired by his short stories. And I'm just, it's just one of those things where I can't do everything all at once. I got to pick a poison and let it kill me for a short time, and then move on to the next knife to stab me with.
Yeah.
So,
that's about what it is, too.
Yeah.
And Bloodstream Parade, you say, is up in the air. Don't know what's going there.
I'm confident to say that I was last year that we will probably be doing something next year. Everyone's attitude is great about writing new music and all that. And once I feel like I'm a little bit more motivated to write music, I can write a ton of songs and come up with a lot of riffs. Yeah. And I don't get it with musicians, though. I don't get it with these fuckers. I sit there and I write basically a skeleton of a full song sometimes, because I feel inspired and I want to keep going and all that. I want to take it out to, and I'm not beyond the fact of like tweaking things out, adding, subtracting certain segments of it. But why do you have to take forever to write one song? And that's one of the complaints I've had with the band in the past. It's like, why does it take forever to decimate a song? They take the magic out of it, So you might not like a part. Add another part. Try that. Why does it have to be dismantled? If it's good out of the gate, fantastic. One less song we got to worry about.
Check it off. Go to the next.
Yeah, I mean, I've written a couple songs like that off the first record. We played one of them the other night.
Yeah.
And what was the name of the song? Your Pain. And is basically, quick little ditty. I just started playing the riff a little bit here and there, and everyone joined in, and it worked out fine. It was a quick song. It's like a 2-minute song, but it worked out great, and it sounded awesome, and everybody enjoyed it. So.
All right, my friends, I want to thank you all for listening in. Also, a huge thanks to Wolf McKinney for being my guest in the Pod of Mayhem. It's been a true pleasure having you here for the debut episode. For those who'd like to keep track of the cool things Wolf is doing, I invite you to follow him on Twitter at BSPWolf. You can also find him by name on Facebook and follow his band Bloodstream Parade at facebook.com/BloodstreamParade1. If you've enjoyed this debut episode of the Pod of Mayhem, I invite you to give us a follow on Anchor.fm, Spotify, or Apple Podcast, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. We'll be in a lot more places here soon. Also coming soon, I will be debuting the Pod of Mayhem live on BreakingFateRadio.com, so stay tuned for more information on that. To keep in the loop with what I'm doing otherwise and access all my social media, simply visit WillieAtkins.com. Find me on Facebook at Facebook.com/Willie Atkins, or you can find me on Twitter at Mr. Willie Atkins. For now, I leave you with Bloodstream Parade's Beastie Boy cover, Fight for Your Right. I'm Willie Atkins. See you.